Welcome back, everybody. So in this video, we're going to talk about the 5 things that I've learned about intellectual property from utilizing blockchain technology. Now, before we go down that rabbit hole, I think first it'd be best if we defined what is a blockchain as well as what is intellectual property. So first things first, what is a blockchain? A digitally distributed, open sourced ledger that's transparent for everyone to see, exists across an entire network. Inputs and outputs, and the data that resides within these inputs and outputs. At any given moment in time, anyone around the world can view a blockchain and the transactions that are occurring. Why is this important, or why does that matter to you? One of the reasons why I'm doing these videos is so that we can start to have conversations, so that we can get those creative juices flowing and start to understand all the different ways that we can leverage blockchain technology. Let's define what intellectual property is. Intellectual property is a category of property that includes intangible creations of the human intellect. What are intangible creations of the human intellect, you ask? They could be anywhere ranging from a photograph, a video, poem, book, a piece of music. All of those fall under that category. So there are 4 different categories of intellectual property: patents, trademarks, copyrights, as well as trade secrets. But for the sake of this video, we're only going to stick to trademarks and copyrights. Copyright is a type of intellectual property that gives its owner the exclusive right to copy, distribute, adapt, display, and/or perform a creative work, usually for a limited period of time. And that's when we start to talk about exclusive versus non-exclusive licensing. Now, lastly, a trademark is a type of intellectual property consisting of a recognizable sign, design, or expression that identifies a person, product, or service and distinguishes them from the others. A logo, a jingle, or even memes nowadays can be trademarked as well. So now that we've defined what a blockchain is and what intellectual property means, let's get into the 5 things that I've learned about intellectual property utilizing blockchain technology. The number 1 thing I've learned about intellectual property and blockchain technology is about ownership. Being able to leverage a tool that is a decentralized permanent record of information. Data is minted and stored within blocks. You can look at the transaction hash of these minted blocks of data, which holds all the information that you need: policy ID, the asset ID, the wallets interacting with these transactions, and anything else that you can think of. Being able to leverage the metadata to convey the message of what your digital asset is really important. Verify the inception of creation, verify who the owner is, what belongs to who. Pirating is never going to stop, but what we can do as digital creators is we can secure our intellectual property, such as registering our copyrights and trademarks and minting our data on a public open sourced blockchain like Cardano or Ethereum, Tezos, Polkadot, and on down the line. Let me not forget, we can also utilize royalties. If your NFT is bought, sold, or traded on the secondary market, the original owner and or creator of this NFT gets royalties. I think even as an independent creator right now, I've selected 5% royalties on transactions. And so that allows you even some room, even with partners, right? You want to break off 1.25% here, 1.25% here. You have 4 1.25% that you can break off if you wanted to. And verify ownership, and you can receive royalties. Imagine a Pablo Picasso or a Basquiat being able to receive royalties off of secondary sales on their physical pieces. This type of technology is revolutionary. Nowadays, we can connect the digital to physical and connect physical to digital. We can leverage the blockchain to verify ownership of physical pieces by having maybe an NFC chip embedded within a QR code. This QR code is serialized to this NFT. And so now we can prove ownership. Whoever's holding this NFT is the owner now of this physical piece as well. We can also certify the authenticity of these physical pieces, which is one of the most important aspects of why we need to prove ownership, because in proving ownership, we can then certify the authenticity of this piece. So the number two thing that I've learned about intellectual property and blockchain technology is precedence. I spoke to copyright and trademark registrations as well. With this precedence, we can leverage the metadata, create a whole new experience. You can actually program an experience utilizing metadata. We can leverage current metadata standards that the music industry and intellectual property offices utilize, such as the date of creation. Was this digital asset published prior to being registered? What type of digital asset is it? Is it a JPEG, MP3, MP4, a GLB, which is the 3D AR aspect of it? Like we said at the very beginning, there's many different intangible creations of the human intellect. A piece of music, a video, portrait, a photograph, a poem, a book. All of these different things we can register our copyright with and mint on the blockchain to affirm and secure ownership, to secure precedence, to set precedence as the owner and original creator of these digital assets. Now create a whole new experience for people that are interacting with your work and your creations, especially when it comes to how your work is displayed on secondary marketplaces and the ability to discover you via, filtering in whole new avenues, so ensuring that we have the proper information and data within the metadata is what allows us to convey our message and implement our program. The third most important thing that I've learned about intellectual property and blockchain technology is about community. Most specifically, your fan base and support, even as an independent artist, and how we can leverage the blockchain as a tool to garner a whole new sense of community. I can token gate experiences, create an exclusive access point to this experience by token gating based off of policy ID. So if you're holding this token with this policy ID, and if only are you holding this token, can you access this event? That does create a sense of demand for this token, for a fungible token or non-fungible token, that you actually create a whole new experience within your community that you might not have been able to create before. Fourth most important thing that I've learned about intellectual property and blockchain technology is about measurement. The inherent nature of the blockchain to be transparent and everyone to be able to see all records happening at one time allows us to see things like daily transaction volume or a metric such as how many wallets is this fungible or non-fungible token in. And not to say that these metrics are the telling tale of how valuable your project or company are, but they do provide metrics that allow you to make different determinations within your business decisions and what's best for your community. We can now leverage decentralized tooling within our community. So say we have a direction that we want to go, but we want to engage our community in the decision of that direction, a decentralized voting mechanism. So now our community members can interact with this tool so that they can vote on what they find is most important to them. And so that's another way that we can utilize a blockchain as a measurement tool. And when we can actually get hardcore empirical data like that from our holders, that is really what's most valuable. And last but not least, the fifth and final thing that blockchain technology has taught me about intellectual property is leverage. Being able to leverage this tool to establish this precedence has opened a whole new world of opportunities for creators, independent artists, musicians, developers alike, for everything that it's worth. To establish precedence as the original owner, to build community, to leverage this community to expand your brand and your exposure. Always remember, please, what is your why? Always revert back to having to ask yourself, what is my why? Because your why is definitely going to determine your intentions for being wherever you are in that moment. Why am I here? What is my purpose for living? What are my passions? Why am I so passionate about these things? When we can start to answer these questions, these are going to give us our intentions. We are now able to set our goals for taking over. Thank you guys for listening. I can't wait to see you next time.